So let's do roll call to establish a quorum. Dolores Trujillo present, Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan's here.
Elizabeth Woods.
Woods present.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita present.
Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz present.
David Lawler.
David Lawler present.
Thank you, David. Trisha Wynn.
Trisha Wynn present.
Did I get everyone? I think I did.
Lori
Lori.
and
Oh, it's
And
Lori.
Reza. I'm on. Can we ensure that Reza is on and available, please?
Yeah.
Reza's here.
I saw Reza, yeah. All right. Moving on to the next agenda item. Item 8.0, discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of substantive changes to an approved program. 8.2.8, Marcia First School of Nursing, Associate Degree Nursing Program. Addition of a new campus or location.
thanks so much. Information on this program can be found starting on page 84 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Marcia First. Marcia First School of Nursing is requesting an additional campus in Riverside, California. They have 4 sites to date. Glendale campus was approved in 2016. The San Diego campus was approved in 2019. The Bakersfield campus was approved in 2021. And the West Covina campus was approved in 2022. The current enrollment pattern for each campus is 45 students 3 times a year for a total of 540 students per year. They're requesting the enrollment pattern at the new site to be the same, 45 students 3 times a year. So with the new annual enrollment, it'll be 675 students annually. Their AIS, again on page 84, speaks to their request in requesting this 5th campus site. Has their NCLEX pass rates. And let me see if I'm missing anything else. They are part of the consortium, the Inland Empire Consortium and the LA Consortium. And Lori, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? Their program and their administration are here for questions.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you. Just to let you guys know that over the last 5 years, Marcia First, which is also known as Glendale Career College, over the last 5 years, they've had 2 new campus approvals and they've increased their overall enrollment by 270 new students. They are asking for this to be in Riverside. Riverside, in the last 5 years, the board has approved the growth in that region, 1,049 new student enrollments. And that does not include the Riverside City College request above of 80 students that the board had just approved this meeting. So we'll open it up to discussion with the board members, please.
I did have a quick question. Maybe when the school presents, they can address the attrition rate. I thought that was higher than we've seen.
Okay, no problem. Did you want to discuss it? Discuss other things first, or do you want me to bring the program?
Go ahead and bring the program.
Okay, I believe they're ready. Gloria, can you?
I'm here. I'm here.
Hi.
Good afternoon. How is everybody today?
Good.
Yes. Yeah, so we're talking about our school, Marcia First School of Nursing. We really have done, I think, a marvelous job in trying to give as many students as we can a chance to get through the programs and to learn and to be nurses. We do have a little bit of higher attrition rate in the beginning because I think a few things happened during that. Was we had the pandemic where a lot of students had to drop out because they had to support their families. Or I'll tell you even more than that, was that somebody in their family was sick and they had to take care of them, and I was okay with that. Many of them have come back and have completed and are excellent nurses now. We do take, we take a vast majority of nurses. Let me give you this in front of me. We have good ethnicity. We have Asian, 36%, Hispanic, 27%, 22% white, and the rest is mixed. So we really do have a very good mix of both student and faculty. Our faculty match our students, which I think has made us very successful. So we're asking for Riverside. We have a very large LVN program out there. Many of them have been interested, but they say it's too far from them to come in here. So we decided we have a campus out there right now, a very well known campus. They've been there almost 20 years. And we figured let's bring the program to them, especially in an area of need like Riverside. So that was our thinking. And again, we know that was considered a registered nurse shortage area. So we said, let's go to Riverside, bring the program to these LVNs. We did a few really interesting market surveys with the LVNs also. We looked at where they mostly live. That was one of the things we looked at. And it's one of the reasons why we went and got EDPA teams from areas where the LVNs live. So for example, Desert Regional, 25% of our LVNs live in that area. So even though we knew Riverside hospitals were impacted, so we didn't go to anything. So we ended up going outside of them so as not to displace anybody. So, I mean, I feel like we put a lot of work into it to make sure that we met the criteria that the board has, gone by. So, and then we picked Alta. We had Desert Regional and Prime. And Prime right now has a vacancy rate, I think, of over 500 nurses. So we thought those were good places to be. That's really why we went out there. So, and again, it was just too far for them to commute into here. And actually, we don't have space here for them to do it. So.
Thanks, Gloria.
Okay.
Yeah, how long is the program?
About 21, 22 months, depending. If it's an LVN to RN, and depending if they have their college credits for their basic sciences, English Psych, that's 2 semesters if they don't have it. If they do have it, it's only 4 semesters. And if it's an LVN, they can challenge the semester before that, so it'll be 3 semesters actually. But for
So the cost of the program is almost $80,000
that's
for
correct.
the program. And how many semesters is that?
That's six semesters. That's if you need the whole soup and nuts. And then we also, I don't know if you know this, but we have the RN to BSN also right after it. And that's only $7,500 to finish their bachelor's. So that's a good thing. I think that would be probably the cheapest around them. And it's for them, they could stay an extra year, complete their bachelor's. So within the 3 years of getting their BSN, it would cost them about $87,500. It's much cheaper than any of the other BSN programs. So. And it's a really good program. We're CCNE accredited. Great program. The RN to BSN too. Our campuses have been successful. We have sold them also on looking at the hospitals. I know I keep talking about Glendale Adventist, and I think we'll have some people to talk about it from their perspective. From my perspective, I know March 3rd, they're going for magnet status at the one here in Glendale. We're on the committee with the educational component of it. We built a program with that hospital that I had used before in a children's hospital, not this children's hospital, one on the East Coast with University of South Florida. And I'll tell you, it was a very successful program. I wasn't sure how it was going to go in California. It's taken us time to really perfect it. It didn't happen great all of a sudden. It took us a little bit of time, but it's an amazing program. We keep the students there for their whole time, except for pediatrics, which they don't have. They have everything else, have inpatient locked psych unit, OB, all the med surg, ICUs, neuro ICUs, CITU, they have all of them. And at the end, they have less orientation, and we're trying to build that commitment to the hospital. because as everybody knows, the travel situation, we're trying to find a way to get people to be connected to the hospital sooner than what they are and stop jumping all over the place for 6 months. So it's 2 years going. This is not just new. It's something we've been doing. It's taken us 2 years to make it. Desert Regional, Pine, and Alta, all 3 of those groups that I've gone to, we've presented the model to. And that's what they want, is the model. I think more than anything else. But it's a very successful program. We would like to present sometime soon too, even to the COA here. It's taken a while, but it's great.
Thank you. EO Melby, is this an impacted area? Because Riverside is not in LA.
It's not in LA, it's not in Orange County, it's not San Diego, but it is right there in that vicinity, correct? So what happens is when Orange County is looking for additional sites, they will go to the Riverside Palm Desert area, Ontario, and start looking for additional clinical sites. We have schools in San Diego using clinical sites at Eisenhower Medical Center, which is in Palm Desert. We also have schools in San Diego using some of the like Temecula Valley, Inland Empire areas for clinical places as well, because those places are so impacted due to prior enrollment growth. And so it's hard to kind of, when you're looking at this vicinity, the southern region of the state, most of the areas that are down there are highly impacted. And so Riverside was one that was not necessarily impacted. But then based on the need, the board, when they heard enrollment increases coming through the last 2 years in the Ontario area, in the Palm Desert area, in the Riverside area, the board approved those because of the need and because there was not much impaction. But since the last 5 years, the board has increased the enrollment in that area to the courses that the students and the programs are already there. They have grown them with 4 new campuses, nursing programs being added to that area. We've got San Joaquin Valley College in Rancho Mirage. We've got another new campus from Concordia School in Ontario. We have Stanbridge University that went to Riverside, and we have American Career College that went to Riverside. In addition, there was a brand new program started in Ontario, which was Arizona College. There was another new program started in Blythe, which was Palo Verde College. And then we accepted 2 feasibility for Palo Verde and Arizona, which we've seen them come to fruition. So that's wonderful. So the enrollment increases were also with Cal Baptist and Loma Linda and College of the Desert. So those were existing programs that grew. So in an area that wasn't previously impacted, the schools started recognizing this, and they chose to do their enrollment growth to answer the call for that area. And in the last, those are just the last 2 years, 21 and 22, there have been 4 new campus locations, 2 brand new nursing programs, and some enrollment increases that just the board approved in the last 2 years. So with that, the increase in students on an annual basis is 1,049. You just increased Riverside right now, so we're over 1,100 students in that area now that are brand new. And those will start hitting the workforce here in just now or just within the next year. So an area that was not impacted, the programs that were growing in Orange County, San Diego, LA, looking for an alternative site, chose Riverside. So they've expanded into that area now, and now that area has now become impacted for looking for clinical placements as well. So we're doing our job, but by doing our job, the clinical sites are now being taxed. The other thing to take into consideration is the difference between Riverside area and the San Diego and LA, Orange County areas is there are greater concentrations of acute care hospitals, medical centers and such in those more suburban areas in LA, Orange County, and San Diego, the outpatient clinics, that stuff is much greater. When you're looking into these more kind of rural areas, they have less facilities to pull from. And so when you increase the number by the same amount and there's less resources to utilize, including faculty, that is something that the board should consider when you're asking the questions and looking at what's going on in those areas. So hopefully that answered your question, Dolores.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board? So what I understand is with this increase, they are going to graduate or have an annual enrollment of 675 students per year. Whereas currently,
Yes, they currently have 540 students per year. And with this increase, they're adding another campus, 45 students 3 times a year. So that will bring their grand total with all their campuses to 675 students annually.
Does anybody want to make a motion if there's no other comment?
This is Mitchell First, the president of the Marshall First School of Nursing, board member. President Trujillo, can I go ahead and share a few comments and thoughts?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think that narrative by E.O. Melby is a little bit cloudy because, Riverside County is one of the largest counties in the entire United States, both by population and by area. So when that was talked just now about Ontario and other areas, this is not, in Riverside kind of proper. And our almost 20-year nursing education history in Riverside speaks for itself. Our LVN alumni in Riverside are clamoring for the opportunity to enroll in this new ADN program. In our Riverside campus, the diversity of our student body are primarily minority populations, and we indeed have the resources in statute to add this campus location. We have a proven track record over many years to this board that our college has continued to follow all of the rules and regulations of the BRN. We've not only followed the rules, but we have saved the students of other troubled programs. E.O. Melby made mention about our program in San Diego at Sharp Chula Vista, when in fact, Sharp has asked us for more students. We have a newer LVN program in San Diego, and Sharp, which is located in San Diego, wants more of our LVNs as well because of their challenges. Board members, our ask here today is different. We are asking for a campus location in an area that Board President Trujillo mentioned this morning. She said, why not Riverside? And we agree. In addition, this ask is supported by the HCAI report published in 2023 and the 2022 UCSF report that E.O. Melby was mentioning this morning, both of which demonstrate that this area in Riverside, in fact, is underserved. Board members, there is room for all of us, the public sector and the private sector. Here at our college, we have been educating students for success for 56 years. Our college was founded by my mother, Marcia, in 1966. Today, we would sincerely appreciate your support for the Marcia First School of Nursing in Riverside. Thank you so much.
I believe it was Marcia First in San Diego that a couple of years ago told the board that they had clinical space at Sharp Grossmont. So we voted for an increase. Come to find out, they actually squeezed out clinical space at another facility, squeezing out another school.
That's.
I'm so sorry, Board President Trio, that's just simply not true.
I never heard.
Since that comment was made earlier, we have done lots of research about that. They're talking about one clinical group of 8 students. There appeared to be some confusion around that. That is simply, absolutely just not true.
And Mitchell's correct. I went back and checked with our dean down there, Dr. Dela Cruz, and it was one rotation, Sunday nights, 8 students that they had a contract. They went through the consortium. They did everything they were supposed to do. Nobody wanted that Sunday night. So that's really news to me because I'm very, very serious about not displacing anybody. So we go to some different places because of it. So that's news to me, truly, President Trujillo. If I would have known that, it would have been taken care of.
Gloria, if you could do me a favor and reach out to Samantha Gerard. She is the Director of Nursing at Southwestern College in Chula Vista area. She is the one that emailed me directly and specifically stated in her email that the community college students are affected and that Marcia First displaced 20% of the students. I would love to help facilitate that conversation. I don't want to get into the habit of having one program director say that another program director is lying or that they're not giving correct or they're giving false information. We want to believe the people that are providing the board with information, and we have nothing to believe that this person is lying in any way. Just like we have no reason to believe that you guys are lying in any way. We're just trying to present the facts and the information that is shared with us.
And
So,
she with Lori? She's with
What was that?
Southwest. What was the name of the school she's with?
Southwestern College,
That's the one.
Samantha Gerard.
Okay, yes, I absolutely will speak to her as soon as we hang up today. No question.
Thank you. I would really appreciate that. And I know that was shared right there is that you guys made the comment in the conversation here that Sharp Chula Vista, you guys didn't expand into them, but Sharp Chula Vista specifically asked you guys to expand into them. Understanding that the board has no jurisdiction over clinical facilities, healthcare facilities, et cetera, that is something that even though a hospital or a healthcare organization that you're partnering with is asking for a specific school to go ahead and expand into them, we do still ask of our schools that we do have under 1427 that says, please consider the impact. So even though we have a healthcare facility that says, please, Marcia First, come to us, please grow, please add students to our campus, the regulatory requirement in 1427 is to have that school still consider the impact. Your school is being told to us that because of that growth that hospital asked you guys to do into them, untowardly it affected the other school that was already in place, and they said that they are having now difficult time with their students even progressing and graduating because of the loss of clinical sites. So just sharing information, please try to keep our voices down, try to not yell in conversations here, and let's try to keep these as cordial conversations. Thank you so much.
Lori, definitely follow up. You know, my method always is I usually back off if I see that there's a conflict of interest there or that they had the site first. Always over my last 15 years in California, I have done that. So I will make sure that there's been no displacement. You have my word on that.
I appreciate that, Gloria. One thing that I think that our board would be really great to know is that Gloria is the program director for all of the campuses of Marcia Forst School of Nursing, that she is the single program director over all of them, and she has assistant directors that assist her at each one of the campuses.
And they're all great. I'm really lucky.
I have a comment because that information, the HCI information, I just pulled that up again about the rate, the percentage or of LVNs compared to RNs in the population. I think that is interesting to look at because I do think we want to create enough opportunities for our LVNs to, matriculate is the right word, but to be able to become RNs. I think that path, if someone's already been an LVN to be an RN, is much more, that they're committed to it. They already have had clinical experience. So I think that we may want to factor that in when we're looking at making our decision about different areas and how many of these, especially these programs that are really LVN to ADN focused. So
Then they could get their BSN for $7,500.
yes, that's amazing.
Thank you so much, Board Member Fagan, for those comments. And EO Melby, we certainly will, as Dr. Blotti shared, reach out to that school in San Diego, to collaborate with them. That, again, we have a proven track record of doing just that for the Marcia Furst School of Nursing. And we also, I'd like to share with the board that we do have a couple of healthcare leaders that would like to also share their thoughts if this would be an appropriate time to do so.
I believe it would be a good time. I do want to interject one thing just for clarification to Dr. Fagan. Each one of our approved nursing programs are required both in statute and regulation to take advanced placement students, which means they do have to have a pathway for LVN to RN step up for each one of their programs. So if we approve an ADN program, it is assumed that they will offer that program with transfer credit, experiential credit, in order for those LVN to RNs create a step-up program and not have to take the generic program. That is a requirement that we have in statute and regs, and our NECs are actively assessing that at all times. We would be holding them in an area of non-compliance if they did not have a policy set forth to do that and they were not actually doing that. The other thing that we do have in our statute and regulations is to offer a 30-unit LVN to RN option. It doesn't provide a degree, but it does provide a certificate and allows them to sit for their NCLEX and practice as an RN if they pass their NCLEX in California. Again, that is a requirement for every single RN program in California. It is not specific to people that do just an LVN to RN or an LVN to BSN. That is a requirement for all of our approved programs. So we have 157, I believe, pre-licensure nursing programs throughout the state of California. All 157 of them in any of their tracks have to have an advanced placement option for these LVN to RNs, and they must offer the 30-unit LVN to RN step-up option.
Thank you for that clarification, EO Melby, and that's exactly correct. And we have almost 20 years of LVN graduates. And like I said, one of the main reasons why we decided to come to Riverside with an ADN program is because they truly are clamoring at the opportunity to step up and to become an RN there for Riverside in Riverside County. Thank you so much.
It would be great to have that information provided in the future as we're looking at the other information about the different programs, is what percentage of their students are LVN or advanced placement students.
Now, we do keep that information, of course, to all the campuses. Because for us, it's very interesting to see how they work out their work schedule with this. Are they successful? And how they like going from LVN to RN. So it's sometimes a very big transition for them, but they've enjoyed it. So.
Can I ask a question? Because I honestly don't know. I'm looking at the NCLEX passage rate percentage, and I'm curious, assuming that's not a typo, is the drop in the passing rate this year expected? For whatever reason, or is there a justification for it?
No, there's justification. When we took on the other two schools that were going under or were out of business, actually, we took on their pass rate too and their students. These are two students that were from a while ago that ended up, it was only two students, it wasn't a huge number. And they took the exam now. So I said I would take that on. I knew that could be an issue along the way. I think that's the only time we'll see it. If you look at our year rate, it's like almost 93%. So again, that was just one quarter where we had, and those were one from Brightwood and one from Shepherd.
Thank you.
And David, this is Mary Ann McCarthy, the liaison. I do want to bring to the board's attention that when we put the last 2 years, you'll see that 21-22 is a full year and 20-21 are both a full year, but 22-23 is just a quarter. So there's 4 quarters to a year. We have to have all 4 quarters to have the annual. So that is for 1 quarter. And thank you, Gloria, for pointing out that it was a small cross-section of students.
I almost had a heart attack myself.
Again, Board President Trujillo, would this be an appropriate time for a couple of healthcare leaders to share their thoughts with the board?
Is there a reason why they're not in public comment? Just curious, because we are going to still open to public comment. So they will have, in fact, everybody will have an opportunity to speak during public comment.
Excuse me, the thing I'm the most interested in understanding is the issue about capacity. And if we approve this program, because let's face it, we've heard all these programs for the last 2 days. They've all been excellent programs. They all have so many wonderful things about them. But where we've decided was on capacity and what regions can actually bear. And so can this area bear more students is the thing that I'm struggling with, not with the program itself. It all looks really wonderful and just like almost all the other ones we denied did. So if someone can help me with that, that would be really helpful for me. Thank you.
I think that we'll get a lot of that information through public comment. I do see some program directors in here that may be in that area. I think I saw Tammy Van Holt as well. I'm not seeing her right now, but we can open up to public comment. And maybe
I'll just say, Vicki, according to the data that we have from HCI, the most recent data we have that they're not impacted right now. That's the latest that we have that's documented. And we'll get more of that information when Joanne comes at our May meeting.
yeah, impacted clinically or impacted with RNs? I think I need that clarification.
I meant for training programs, for placements. That was the thing I was concerned about, is that will they be taking from some other program? Is there enough capacity for the students to get done without impacting other programs?
So,
I will look to
Clarify it.
recent data and I'll try to pull that for you. 1 second. But we could open up to public comment at that point.
And Board Member Granowitz, this is Mitchell again. You know, there are 17 acute care facilities in Riverside County, and again, this is another reason why we went to Riverside, because we truly know that there is not going to be any clinical impaction for our students. Again, perhaps the healthcare leaders will share a little bit more about that during public comment. Great question.
all right, any other comments or questions from the board before we go to public comment?
Yeah, and President Trujillo, just so that when you look at the EGPs also for Desert Regional and Prime, there's a lot of untapped capacity in those places. That's why we went there. They weren't the most convenient, but it was the reason why I chose them instead of doing the one in Riverside, because I knew the Riverside Community Colleges had them, and that was okay. So again, I tried to really look at that to make sure that we weren't stepping on anybody's toes.
Thank you, Gloria. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, BRN moderator, can you open it up for public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've opened up the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. David Cook would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is David Cook. I'm the chief nurse here. It's based in Ontario. I have 4 facilities that are close to this proposed campus. We have worked diligently with the School of Nursing, all the CNOs who are at our local facilities to ensure that we could accommodate their requests for students. We have been able to do that successfully without placing or impacting any of the clinical placements that we currently already work with. And we do work with a lot of different schools. And many of our schools have been very creative and have been willing to, take off clinical hours that are less traditional. We have a great need at all of these hospitals. Actually, we have about 500 nursing positions that we could fill today. We have a lot of trouble recruiting qualified candidates in these areas, and we've been forced to look at an LVN workforce to supplement our RN workforce at all of these hospitals, which has made nursing even more challenging in the patient care delivery model. And so having a school that we can partner with, even with our current LVNs that we're hiring as an option, along with the other great programs in the area, we can accommodate these clinical placements without any impaction, any issues. And I've validated that myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board member Grant, I'm sorry, Vicki. This is Lori. I am on our website and I was trying to get specific clinical displacement data. It's not allowing me to filter to the specific region, but I will reach out to UCSF to get that data, ensure that we have it. But I have an overall displacement. And so when you look at the years 2021, programs denied a clinical placement show that 87% of our nursing programs have shared that they have been denied a clinical placement. We have 22% of our nursing program says that they've been offered alternative sites. And 82% of our programs state that they have programs with fewer students allowed for a placement. That is California overall. And I will look more during the continued public comment to try to get the information that is specific by region for this most current year.
Thank you.
Hey, Lori, where's that data coming from?
On our website, if you go to the homepage, rn.ca.gov, and you click over to the right where it says BRN School Survey Interactive Dashboard, you click on that. Across the top, it has the BRN School Survey data from 2011 to 2021. You scroll over, you will see that there is data for school list, number of programs, projected enrollment, admissions, applications for admissions qualified, applicants, admissions-based enrollment, enrollment race, enrollment by gender. It continues to move through. I'm just waiting for my computer to catch up with me. I'm sorry. It also talks about enrollment by age, attrition and completion rates, completion and degree. And again, my computer is slow. But if you keep scrolling to the right, across the top, you will get clinical displacement data. This is collected annually. It's not the workforce survey that is every 2 years. This is an annual survey, and we do get 100% response rates from our school. I do have to put a caveat in there that the last couple years we did not get 100% response rate on some of the questions asked because we were involved in a lawsuit with a school that did not give us that data. So there is a tab that is called denial of clinical space, and then clinical spaces lost and students impacted. They also have a tab that says reasons for clinical spaces being unavailable, and then alternatives for out-of-state hospital sites. You can go in there and you can see the overall data. When I'm trying to filter, it doesn't filter accurately to a per year or a regional time. So I've reached out for assistance to make sure that can be included and updated. But it does have the sharp spike for clinical spaces lost and students impacted that you can see that occurred in 2020 with COVID. You can see that number has dropped in 2021, so we are going back down, but it is still very, very high compared to the years prior. But it's only showing per state data versus filtering by region appropriately. But we do have that data based on our annual school surveys. And again, I'm going to continue to try to get that data for regional, per regional filter for you guys. And I'll see if we can get that during this specific board meeting, because I know that that's important. But that data is available, it is public, and it is on our website for anybody to look at.
Andrew John would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Trujillo and EO Melby. I appreciate the opportunity to weigh in on some of these important issues. Do you guys have my audio okay?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. My name is Andrew John. I'm Executive Vice President for Adventist Health. Adventist Health is a nonprofit health system serving the Western United States. We operate safety net hospitals and clinics across California. We're present in over 70 communities in California, and we fulfill our mission through a network of 23 hospitals, 103 ambulatory clinics, ambulatory surgery centers, outpatient facilities, home health, and hospice. We're very committed to meeting the needs of California, but specifically California's underserved. Last year, as a result of the pandemic, we faced an acute workforce shortage. This was the number one topic on my one-on-one meeting last week with Secretary Ghali. Spent quite a few minutes covering this, and I'm going to share some statistics that I shared with Secretary Ghali. Last year, we hired 742 new grad nurses. This is triple the number we would ordinarily hire because of our retirements and forced retirements in the nursing workforce. We have today over 900 open nursing positions inside our organization, and that's after taking into account 837 contract nurses that we've imported from out of state to provide for our patients. I also have open 91 contracts that have not been filled from out of state agencies. In addition to that, I'm on contract to import over 500 nurses from outside of the country. These are foreign grad nurses from countries like the Philippines and Canada, because our schools can't meet the demands that we have placed on new grad nurses in nursing programs. All this is particularly concerning, but in large part, it's an economic issue for health systems in the state of California. Last month, Adventist Health spent $17 million on agency nursing labor. That's not a sustainable model. Because of our workforce crisis, Adventist Health posted an operating loss last year of over $200 million. There are hospitals in the state that are closing their doors because they cannot afford to staff them. I've spent the last 2 days with this board listening to the tone and tenor, and I think that this board is getting it all wrong. This isn't about private or public. This is about engaging in creating a pipeline so that generations to come don't have this same shortage. The track that we're on to come to parity by 2037 is just not acceptable. And I just implore this board to understand that we will have access issues throughout the state if we don't intercept, and fix that. Over 900 open positions in Adventist Health alone, and we have less than 10% of the market share in the state. So I appreciate the facts that E.O. Melby shared with regards to the added programs in the last 2 years, but we're talking about, hundreds, maybe 1,000 or 1,200 new positions, and we're talking about a shortage that's in the multiple thousands, 4,400 just in LA County alone in nurse openings today, if we could go fill those. I want to talk just for a second about the private-public partnerships that we have.
Michelle Jackson would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. And I'm sorry, Andrew, your time was allotted. You went over your allotted time.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle Jackson, and I work for Adventist Health Glendale. And the reason for my public comment today is just to share my experience with working with Marshall Fier School of Nursing in our pipeline program. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we have successfully have this program for the past 2 years. And thank you to Marcia Furst and the leadership at Glendale that we are able to have this pipeline so that we are able to fill the needs. As our president just shared today, the need is severe. We have been suffering staffing shortages, utilizing travelers, and thank goodness for Marcia Furst providing us with this pipeline where the students, this is a wonderful program because the students start their clinical rotations with us and continue on till the end. So what happens is that they are easily absorbed into the system. They know the staff, they know the documentation, they know our policies and procedures, and they are embraced so well and so loved by the staff that not only are we graduating and absorbing these new graduates, but they are thriving because they are so familiar with the organization that it's such a great program to have. So we are so blessed by this partnership. One thing also that I want to mention is that working with Mitchell Furst and working with Gloria on this, with their follow-ups, continuous meeting. It's just such a wonderful partnership that I was thinking if Riverside County had anything of this sort in their community, what a blessing the school will be for that community and for all the patients that need the help. So I just wanted to let you guys know what a wonderful school this is. It's a private school, but it's unlike any private school I've worked with. They really focus on the students. It is not a mill. They're very concerned with the students. I love the students. Many of them are adult learners. Many of them are licensed vocational nurses, surgical techs, CNAs, just wonderful students that really embrace our culture here at the Adventist Health System. So thank you so much for the consideration for the school. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Malik King would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. I'm sorry, Malik has disconnected. Oh, maybe he's there. Hold on. Malik? Oh, I guess Malik has disconnected. Okay, we will go to Sarah Fry. Sarah Fry would like to make a comment. 1 second.
My name is Sarah Fry. I'm the Director of Nursing and Allied Health at College of the Desert in Palm Desert, California. I decided to speak up because I heard Desert Regional mentioned, which is one of our primary sites for our community college student ADN program. We currently work with several schools to create a calendar to provide clinical placements for all of the schools in the Valley. That includes Copper Mountain Community College, Cal State San Bernardino, Palo Verde Community College, Cal Baptist, West Coast University, San Joaquin Valley, and anybody else that goes to the facilities to get space. We are tasked by one of the hospitals, Desert Regional in particular, to create this calendar, and we just finished it for fall, and there's not one open floor. So I'm quite surprised and was on my text messages to Desert Regional to say, what, you approved another school? I think that there's a lot of complexities in this process, and you've heard a lot of them today. One of them is we have to have an opportunity to increase our enrollments that were already approved. We were just approved this year for an enrollment increase. So the hospitals don't yet see how many numbers are going to be coming their way from our enrollment increase, despite us reporting to them that we were approved. So I just texted the director of education and said, wait, don't forget about our enrollment increase that was already approved. And of course the response was like, oh, shoot, you know? So those EDP 18s, I hate to say this because I don't want to task our NECs with anything further, but it asks for a signature from any liaison. So you get maybe a CNO signing one, an educator signing another, and there's some, I think, some ignorance on how to fill it out as well. So I'm not sure that the numbers are exactly accurate. And we get a signature, well, I'll just put myself out there. We get a signature on whatever we ask for a signature for. So, you know, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of extra things that we have to consider. And when looking at the areas, we're talking about Riverside here, but you have to consider that some of these private schools have students driving in over 100 miles. So just to say that they're in Riverside doesn't change where they're going to be impacting other schools. I want to serve the needs of our community. We have an enrollment increase of an additional 70 students. If I don't know where we're going to put them, especially if we have another school moving in. So please give us a chance to increase our enrollments that have already been approved by the BRN, and then look at the numbers and see if it's appropriate to add more programs. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
This is Gloria. I just want to, I understand what she's saying, but as we look at the annual student clinical capacity on the EDP 18, it's very large because of the amount of placements that they have in their hospitals. So I do believe that they could take everyone. Look at their numbers are higher than most. And I reconfirmed that 3 times. And it is definitely the amount that they can take. So just look at the EDP 18s, you'll see they're high numbers because that's what they feel like they can handle doing, you know, round the shift 7 days a week.
Okay, I looked at Malik King and he doesn't have a way to speak, so it just doesn't have a microphone or anything. So I'm going to go to Baylor Meza. 1 second, please.
Malik says that he had issues with his audio, and may I try again?
Yeah, I'll come back to him.
Okay.
Baylor Meza, are you able to unmute yourself? You're unmuted. We can't hear you. see. Okay, I'm going back to Malik King. 1 second here. Nope, his audio is gone again. Okay, I'm going to go back to Baylor Mesa. Let's see. Baylor Mesa, you must.
Hello?
There it goes. There you go.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, members of the board, Board President Trujillo, EO Melby. The last 2 days have been very enlightening, I think, for the entire community of stakeholders that has to do this balancing act of addressing the workforce needs. And most importantly, it's very clear over the last 2 days, most importantly, not displace the other members of this community that are providing these nurses that are so needed. So I'd like to reassure, any public institution that has a concern about this, as the COO, that Gloria has an excellent track record of working with the schools that are out there to not displace when we are aware of it. We will definitely be reaching out to San Diego, as you heard Gloria already say, and we already have provided, data to the board that for this current approval, we will not be displacing any of the programs in this community that, again, has 17 acute care facilities, is the most expansive county in California, second only to San Bernardino, and is the third largest county in the nation. So I believe that we can collaborate together to solve this problem. As you said, EO Melby, this is a balancing act. I know that, Elizabeth Woods, board member Woods, recognizes the balancing act that we have here. This is a tough job the board has to do, but what we can do is reassure you that not only will we address the workforce needs with this quality education that we have, the pathway to BSN that is more affordable than you'll find any other private institution doing out there. And on top of that, we'll do it by reassuring the other stakeholders out there that need their clinical placements now and in the future when they grow. We will collaborate with you, and we would offer our resources to you to make sure that if you're a public institution in the Riverside County, that we collaborate with you and work with you to help you achieve your goals as well. We happen to be ready. We have this campus with a wonderful 18-year history of training LVNs with above state average NCLEX pass rates, and they are ready to become registered nurses. Our graduates are ready to become registered nurses. Our current students would love to matriculate in to a 30-unit option or to a LVN to RN bridge. And we would love to provide data later of how this program did at that very thing, because this program happens to be one of our largest LVN programs in the city. Our students, we've drawn a heat map of where our students come from.
Thank you, Mr. Mesa. Your allotted time has expired. Malik King would like to speak. 1 second, please. I think he's...
Good afternoon. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. My name is Malik King. I'm a licensed vocational nurse and a registered nurse. I'm also a resident. Totally welcome to this idea. Having personally went to a private school and did a step-up program from LVN to RN, I think it's a blessing that they're even willing to come to Riverside and do this. I began as a LVN back in 2003, and RN in 2007. And I know firsthand, being from coming from an underprivileged society, having this opportunity opens up doors. I was 19 when I became an LVN, and working with other LVNs and RNs inspired me to become an RN myself. And even though I was sucked into the preschool to prison pipeline, I eventually got the false convictions expunged and dismissed, and I'm now able to go back into nursing. And I think having this avenue for others is just a blessing, and we should really consider it. Of course, there's going to be some pros and some cons, but I believe the pros will outweigh the cons. Thank you.
Thank you. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Sure. I'm looking at the chat, and Sarah Fry put a statement in there, but she spoke, didn't she?
She spoke. She did speak.
She says, I'm looking at a schedule that has a school on every floor every day of the week.
Board President Trujillo, I'd just like to make a comment regarding that. When we met with that facility, Desert Regional, we didn't meet just with anyone. We met with their CNO and their Director of Education to assure us that there was no displacement. So we sat down with them, and they welcome our partnership again for no displacement in that facility.
All right. Any comments or motion by the board?
This is Betty Woods. I make a motion that we approve this new program.
I second that.
Okay. All right. We've opened up to public comments already, so let's take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, yes.
Elizabeth Woods.
Woods, yes.
Vicki Granowitz.
Vicki Granowitz votes no.
David Lawler.
David, yes.
Trisha Nguyen.
Yes, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to unmute. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Jovita Dominguez.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to the next agenda item.
Thank you. Agenda item 8.2.9, discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of substantive changes to an approved nursing program. This is Pacific Union College Associate Degree Nursing Program. Their information is found in your material starting on page 92. And moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters for Pacific Union. Pacific Union in Napa County is requesting a substantive change and an enrollment increase. And just in case people don't know, Napa is up north, way up north. They're asking for 18 students annually at their Angwin campus. Pacific Union has partnered with Sonora Adventist Hospital to offer their employees and the local community the opportunity to pursue a nursing career. The current enrollment at their Angwin campus, they have generic students, 36 3 times a year for 108 students annually. And at their Napa campus, which is their generic has it too, but their Napa is just an advanced placement campus with LVN to RN. They have 27 students a year alternating in campuses. So there's 27 students annually. Their request is just for the Angwin campus, and that is for 18 additional students. Angwin, 36 students times 3 plus 18 additional cohorts. So their annual enrollment will then become 126 students. In the agenda item summary, you have a little bit about their work that they're doing and their plan with Sonora Adventist. And they also have, because it's a little bit of a distance between the school and Sonora, they also have worked on a and have a simulation lab available to students that are closer in Stockton. And there is the hospital is also providing some area for them to do their skills work and their their clinical, not their in clinical. I mean, they're definitely doing their in clinical at that hospital, but they also given them space to do their skills, things that they need. The nursing educational consultant did do virtual tours, were conducted and found them to be appropriate. They are accredited with the Commission of Education and Nursing through the spring of 2025. They did have a continuing approval visit on April 6th and 7th of 2022, and they were found to be in compliance with all board rules and regulations. As always, Lori will add any additional information, and the program is available to answer questions.
Thank you. This is a longstanding program. They were approved in 1958. The Napa area campus was approved in 2012. Over the last 5 years, they have increased their enrollment by 36 students. Napa is a different reason that we haven't addressed yet this board meeting. And in that area, there's been a total growth of 36 new students annually for the last 5 years. And one, I think, large factor that our board should take into consideration is that the closest RN program is with Modesto Junior College System and campuses in Modesto and Columbia. And they're quite a long ways away from this area. So that is just the update for this program and this region.
I believe there's Modesto, and then closest school after that is Sacramento, right?
Beyond that, there's programs in Merced, Madera, Fresno to the south, and Sacramento area to the north.
To the north.
So
there's really nothing around.
Really nothing around, yeah.
Yeah, there is. There's there are programs in Santa Rosa. It's not that far from Napa.
True, but I'm talking about immediate area. There's nothing.
Santa Rosa is quite close to it. It's not that far away. That's why I'm.
Can I just make a point of clarification? The students will
Sure. Let me introduce you, Kimberly. Hi, this is Kimberly Dunker. She's the program director for Pacific Union. Thank you for your clarifications. Thanks, Kimberly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that these students will not be serving that area in Santa Rosa, Napa. These students will actually be out at the Sonora campus. That is the primary clinical site. And Modesto Junior College is the closest college, which is, I think, almost at least an hour, 45 to an hour away. And we actually are excited to work together. We have letters of support from Modesto College. And actually, for public comment, we have several people to support nurses in this area. This is a rural, underserved area, and we've agreed to work together to bring our school to them because this is just a high need. And the exciting part for me is the fact that we already are working with students that are in CNA and tech programs that work in the Sonora area at this hospital, receiving funds. So their goal is to go on and become an RN. And at Modesto College, that's possible. But again, as we've heard, the sites can be limited. So it's a pretty exciting venture for us to bring our school and our resources and work together with Adventist Health. We've done a number of schools together when there's been a need, and we've pulled back too when the need is no longer there. So right now we feel like this would be a joint venture together. And like I said, Modesto Junior College is there. We've already outlined when they're there on their campus and where we can be there. And in fact, the school has also helped me with other rotations for PD, OB, and psych. So I do feel like this is going to be a real positive increase and not very many students to impact, but enough where I think that the Sonora campus will really benefit from having the workforce that lives in Sonora County be able to go to school there and educate this demographic. So kind of a neat opportunity for that area.
So none of
So
these,
this isn't near Santa Rosa.
I'm sorry?
This is not near Santa Rosa
That's in
or
the
Napa.
opposite direction.
It's about 3 hours away.
Yeah.
I have a question. So none of these students are going to be in the area of Napa. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. So we have, because of the resources that we need for nursing education, we have worked with the Stockton campus. They have a full, basically education training facility that has all the beds and mannequins and everything, as well as the hospital. Both sites are going to allow us to do that kind of training there. And we've been doing this kind of training at different facilities for years, going in and bringing our faculty to the area to train. And then we've also recruiting faculty that are in that area to mentor and train. So we have a plan for hiring, mentoring in our EDP 11 to support the faculty resources as well.
So Kimberly, just to clarify the enrollment, you have your Napa enrollment, you have your Arguin, I always say it wrong, I'm sorry, Angwin enrollment, and this is going to be a focused enrollment in Sonora of 18 students annually.
That is correct.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I have it straight in my head and everybody's got it clear.
Yeah, all
the main campus is Angwin, yes.
The main campus
but
is
those
in Angwin.
students are going to be in that area with Adventist.
Yes.
And what
Correct.
hospital are they going to be using over there?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question.
Sorry, what hospital are they going to be?
So they'll be at Sonora Adventist Health Hospital. We'll be partnering with them. And we're an Adventist institution, and we have worked together with other Adventist hospitals in this manner previously. In the Northern California, Ukiah, Mendocino, Fort Bragg, those areas, smaller hospitals that, again, rural is really where we're looking for, is to increase nurses that live there and hopefully want to stay there after,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I would like to make a motion to approve substantive changes to an approved program, Pacific Union College, Associate Degree Nursing Program enrollment increase of 18 students, correct?
Jovita, second.
All right. Thank you, Jovita. Can we open it up for public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for a comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I would like a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Jennifer Deal would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Thank you, board members. My name is Jennifer Deal. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm Jennifer Deal. I am the HR executive for Adventist Health related to talent acquisition and workforce development, here to offer another perspective on hiring and staffing RNs for Adventist Health Sonora in the Tuolumne County. Typically from a talent acquisition perspective, there's really only 3 ways to fill a position. The first way is to borrow or hire from your competitors, which isn't really quite a sustainable approach for Adventist Health Sonora, since Adventist Health Sonora is the sole healthcare provider for Tuolumne County. And we additionally provide services, primary services to our 2 surrounding counties as well. So the next closest hospital is Mark Twain, and it's over an hour away. So hiring from our competitors isn't exactly a viable solution from that perspective. The second way to fill those positions is to relocate people, relocate RNs to Tuolumne County. And that has been our primary, in all honesty, our primary strategy for filling RNs in Sonora. But it hasn't necessarily been super successful when folks relocate to a rural area, especially from larger cities. They don't have those roots and those family and friends to really kind of cling on to socially. It doesn't typically last, and they tend to move back out. Which leads us to the third option, and this is why we're here today, is the third option is to provide the education and training to the people who already live in Sonora, in the community that we serve, and who are dedicated and committed to the people of that community. And which is just exacerbated, honestly, by the shortage of healthcare and professionals in this area. The Department of Health and Human Services has designated this area as a HPSA area. And additionally, our 2023 forecasting projects that we will need at least 65 new nurses over the next 12 months at Sonora. And with our community college partner, Columbia Junior College, they graduate between 17 and 20 RNs annually. And over the last 4 years, 36% of those graduates did not live in the area. And so they returned to their communities across the state and did not stay locally. So that obviously has, results in us falling short for the need of our community. And this is exactly why Columbia College and its college district has provided us with a letter of support for our nonprofit partner, Pacific Union College's enrollment increase. We've received an additional 8 letters of support from our community partners, including Area 12 Agency on Aging, Blue Zones Community Project, the Health and Human Services Executive Director for Tuolumne County, the Administrator of Tuolumne County, and the Tuolumne County Health Board, in addition with 3 other surrounding county health boards, the Chief of Police at Sonora Police Department, and also the Tuolumne County Superintendent of Schools. And all of these folks are putting in their letters of support because they also live in our community.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Jerry Hanayan would like to make a comment. One second, please.
Jerry Hanayan. I am the acting director of the ADN program at San Joaquin Delta College. I just want to make the board aware that there is an ADN program in community college in Stockton, and we have 240 students. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kara would like to make a comment. One second, please. Kara, are you able to unmute? I'll come back to Kara. And Andrew John would like to make a comment. One second, please.
Thank you. Introductions already withstanding from the prior agenda item. I want to thank the board for the motion and the second that's on the table. Adventist Health is in full support of this. This is an example of a unique private partnership with another nonprofit to fill a community need. We have a long-standing relationship with Modesto Junior College and their clinical rotation program on their Columbia campus at Sonora, and this is going to be in addition to that relationship, not a displacement in any way. So we're grateful for the opportunity to expand some slots. This comes back to the need for an all play to solve the nursing shortage in the state of California. It's going to take unique private-public partnerships like the agenda item directly before this, with the Marcia First School of Nursing and private institutions like Pacific Union College to step in and fill the void where the public sector is not able to meet the demands that are placed on our workforce and workforce development. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to Kara again. Okay, I'm sorry. Kara must not be able to unmute herself. Doris Tetz Carpenter would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Doris.
Thank you. I'm a partner with Kara. I also work with Adventist Health in the Human Resources Department. And since Kara can't speak, she's not able to unmute her line, I thought I'd share some of the thoughts that I know she has that we've collectively worked on together. So we've partnered very carefully with our not-for-profit partner, Pacific Union College, in taking a look at the needs that we have. And what's very important to us in Adventist Health is to make sure that we are addressing the nursing capacity for those clinical rotations so that our folks do not have to leave the community in order to get the rotations they need to become a registered nurse. We will be providing clinical space to accommodate this enrollment increase at Sonora, and Kara and the nursing team and SNH are very committed to that. And we will continue to provide the same level of support we have to all of our existing partners in the Sonora area as well as in the Valley as needed. So we are also building additional space for clinical training areas in our hospital, and we are glad to do that. And I just want to thank all of those who expressed their support for this program expansion, as we know this is needed for the community that we serve in Tuolumne County. And this type of program will allow our community members and our employees to grow in their clinical profession and care for their families and friends in the local community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. All right, we'll take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, yes.
Elizabeth Woods.
Woods, yes.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita, yes.
Tricia.
Wynn, yes.
David Lawler.
Lawler, yes.
And Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
All right. At this time, I would like to ask that we take a 10-minute break. So we can come back at, let's call it 2:20. Do I need to do roll again?
Please.
Yes, need to do a quick roll call to make sure everybody's back.
Okay. All right. Dolores Trujillo is present. Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, I'm here.
Okay. Elizabeth Woods.
Woods, present.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita, present.
Tricia Wynn.
Wynn, present.
David Lawler.
David, present.
And Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz, present.
All right, all present and accounted for. We can move on to
Can
the
we
next.
Thank you.
Reza is on, please.
I'm sorry, Lori, what'd you say?
Make sure that Reza is on, please.
Yes, Reza,
What?
are you?
This is Reza.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks so
I
much.
saw him. I was looking at him.
Okay, agenda item 8.3. This is discussion and possible action regarding a feasibility study. So we got to think about, we're changing topics here. Feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program. This is for Westcliff University baccalaureate and entry-level master's degree nursing program. The information about this program is starting on page 100 in your packet. And the board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters from Westcliff. Lori, do you want to talk at all about feasibilities prior to me talking about Westcliff itself, or would you like me to continue?
Yeah, let me take 1 second just so that people understand what feasibilities are, both our board members and those that are in the public. The feasibility study is a process that potential nursing programs will go through. They pay a fee, they submit an application, they let us know what their intention is, and then we go through a bunch of items to ensure that they have the ability to support a nursing program and that the community that they're choosing to serve has the ability to support that nursing program too, and that it doesn't have any kind of negative effect on the programs that are already there. Those are all items of the feasibility study. They are requested to turn into the nursing education consultants, and then they are brought in front of the board. If the board accepts a feasibility study, then that nursing program has the ability to hire staff, build a curriculum, purchase a campus, facilitate that campus with all of the items and stuff that are needed to for a nursing program. And then the NEC goes out and does a check to see that they're in compliance with all rules and regulations, which we come back in front of the board, and that's called the self-study phase. If the program is found in compliance with everything at the self-study phase, they start a nursing program and they're able to enroll. So the feasibility study right here lets this proposed nursing program know if they are moving forward and will be able to support a program and enroll students. So based on this decision, if you guys approve this feasibility study or the next one that is being asked for in both these 2 agenda items coming, then we will have 2 new nursing programs that will start as soon as they can prove that they're in compliance with all rules and regulations. If you deny a feasibility study because you're not confident they have the budget to support, that there is not a good community impact, or that the impact that they have on the community is negative, or that they don't have a pipeline of nurses, potential nursing students, then at that point, they do not hire staff, they do not develop a curriculum, and they do not purchase a location or sign a lease in a location in order to ramp it up to be able to do enrollment. So that's what this phase of a new program approval process is.
Thank you, Lori. So Westcliff University submitted a feasibility study to begin a pre-licensure nursing program with 2 tracks. They want to start a baccalaureate and an entry-level master's degree program track. Westcliff University is located in Irvine, California, which is in Orange County. The enrollment pattern that they are requesting is for 80 students once a year in their BSN program and 80 students once a year in their entry-level master's program. Their, again, on page 100, their information on their AIS and their executive summary spells out the different accreditation status, the geographic information, the description of the programs, budget, tuition, resources, and clinical sites. And of course, they are here to answer any questions you may have. And Lori, I don't know if there's anything more we could possibly add to Orange County, but that is where Irvine, California, and Orange County is where this program is planning to begin.
Yeah, I think we've covered at length Orange County, the impact. This would be a new nursing program coming in. And just to remind you that the purpose of the feasibility study, we do have it completely outlined on our website, and that is to see if it is feasible. If at this point it is feasible, then the program will invest money into hiring a nursing program director, to hiring faculty, to building a curriculum, to getting a site. And then once they meet compliance with all board's rules and regulations, they will enroll students. They have one more stop in front of the board for that, and that would be acceptance of the self-study. And that is where the nursing education consultants do like a continuing approval visit, but it's an initial approval visit, very similar to what you guys have heard with programs that are already established. So this is a pivotal moment for these next 2 agenda items for these institutions that are trying to start a new program.
I have just a preliminary question, if I may.
Sure.
So do they need to, like in a master's degree nursing program, would they have clinical hours that they needed to do?
Yes, because
Yes.
the entry-level master's portion is considered a pre-licensure portion. So they go through the pre-licensure, but they continue on to get their master's.
Thank
So
you.
to provide just a little more clarification with this, the board does not look at degrees when we're looking at doing RN licenses. We just set licensure requirements. So every program that, whether they're ADN, BSN, or entry-level masters, take the exact same curriculum. The exact same clinicals, the exact same curriculum, the exact same requirements. 18 units of clinical for everybody, 18 units of theory for everybody. With entry-level masters, they come in with a bachelor's degree already, and then they do the nursing portion, which is identical to the ADN or BSN, but then they graduate because they had a bachelor's already. With that additional education, it pulls them up to a master's degree.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? from the board?
A question for Lori. You use the term self-study. I just want to clarify, the feasibility study is not a self-study, correct?
It kind of is. The term self-study at our board is when the college or university submits a report to our nursing education consultants that is a self-study of their program to show that they're in compliance with all our rules and regulations. That is step 2 of a program approval process. That is also a continuing approval process for our current approved programs. What is in front of you right now is prior to that phase. This is where you have a person that does not have an RN program, or a company that does not have an RN program, that says, I believe I can start an RN program. I'm going to show you all of my resources. I'm going to show you all of everything that I have that says this is a good place to do it. This is where I'm going to get faculty. This is how I'm going to support them clinically. This is how I have my budget laid out. This is the community. This assures I'm going to have continued enrollment in this area, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a large number of steps that they have to go through. And then if the board agrees with them and said, yes, this is exactly the way that you need to go, then the program will take this information with what the board says, and they will then go to the second phase. That second phase is the self-study. They'll come back in front of the board with that. But in that second phase, they hire a program director, they hire faculty, they create a nursing curriculum, and they typically either build out a currently owned building, or they lease a building and build it out so it can support a nursing program. So this is where the potential, the person or company that wants to start a program hears from the board that says, yes, move ahead, or no, I don't think that that's the right place to do it. We've had some incidences over the years where they've said, yes, we need to approve this, and people have not been able to hire and get that through. We've also had instances over the years where we said, you know what, you might need to look in another location. We think that everything is great, but that might be not be the location that you want to start a program at. And then there's times where we're like, yep, come on, join our group of nursing programs, and thank you for stepping up and helping.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear from the program, somebody from the program.
Of course. Diane, are you able to speak?
I am sure here, and I want to thank everybody for your hard work. And obviously, I'd like to bring up that we've been working very closely with the California BRN, NEC, as well as the supervisor being Mary Ann McCarthy and our NEC being Kimberly Knight. I would like to say that I myself, Diane Breckenridge, started a year and a half ago with Westcliff University, and they have asked me at that time to help develop the pre-licensure program. It has been done in alignment with a plan articulated, as you've heard, by Loretta Melby, our executive officer of the California BRN, who was in the past my NEC at another university. This was done for the pre-licensure curriculum. to be the 18 credit units as you have in your materials for clinical. And as we already heard yesterday, their realignment by Golden West as well as Riverside City colleges that therefore were approved to make sure we are at that 18 clinical hours. I was just on with the consortium that was on during the break time and was able to, again, with the Orange County as well as with the Long Beach group, we were all on, we all discussed things. They are a terrific group. It's a rejoinment of myself with that consortium because when I was brought to California in 2014 as the chief nurse administrator for National University, and then brought to Charles R. Drew to really work on these type of curricular reasons. What has occurred then is that for the clinical that we're speaking about, as our executive officer, Loretta Melby, has been very clear, let's have more attention on community agencies. And in the 26 to 29 programs that I have worked on in my years, as well as being affiliated always with a hospital academic partnership, as well as being a director and a dean, that is so important. And I put a lot of concentration on that and really work on that so that we do have enough clinical spaces for all these students that are trying to become nurses. So this approach will ensure that we will indeed have the clinical space for the proposed number of student enrollments that's also in the packet. I have been recruited as the founding dean of Westcliff University for this proposed nursing college and program so that we are all working together as a team. This is a regionally accredited university, and it's also in the packet for colleges with excellent outcomes and a student-centered approach. And they have a 30-year history of these excellent student outcomes. And when they recruited me, I really did a deep dive in understanding how much this county itself, along with Lower Los Angeles, and having been a part of the San Diego County area because National had campuses all the way from San Diego all the way up to Fresno, where I've been a part of that. It turns out that there are the clinical areas if we really work together for solutions to make sure we use a lot of the community agencies. The feasibility study that we have submitted of this pre-licensure grant, it meets all of the California regulations. And Westcliff University itself and the president of Westcliff University to my right, Dr. Anthony Lee, and across from me, Dr. Matt Hubbs, being the Vice President of Strategic Advancement, we have been working on what are those solutions to make sure that we are a part of nursing education as well as transitioning these students, as it's come up by many of the board members, not just at this meeting, but others, at a quality level to be practice-ready RNs. This moves me then to the materials that we submitted. They include the EDPs, the EDPs 1 that are necessary to show that there are the availability of the sites and that they have even checked that and written all of the other schools that are a part of their hospital system and that they will have room without displacement. That is so important to me. In my 47 years in nursing, right from high school, on underserved grants that I received and scholarships because I came from an underserved family, it turns out that at that time, we want to make sure that our students come from high school, LVN, our veterans. That's why I was brought to National for the Veterans Grant there. We need to make sure that we have the availability for these students, and they really make sure of that here. at Westcliff University for other students in the other areas, and they are committed to this. So the EDPs that we did receive, as well as from also the Association of Nurse Leaders, I've been fortunate to have been asked to be the president elect. I was voted in as that for the LA Coastal Nurse Leaders. So we're working with Orange County, that together we come up with these solutions that I have been able to do with other consortiums, the 24 hospital consortium that I did run in another state. We all worked together and we were able to make sure that in a year, we were able to get all of our students placed, and that is our goal. So I'm collaborating with the 400 nurse leaders, deans, and directors on solutions to the challenges faced by nursing education programs and nursing facilities. I go to every meeting. Tonight, I will be going to the nurse leaders meeting. Today, I was on with the consortium. And the other area I want to bring up, Westcliff University has also committed to a Strategies for Success Center for our students, as well as for assistant. Other schools, such as Dr. Mary Fagan brought up, we need to work with the community colleges. I come from a diploma program myself, and I then did educational advancement and made sure in the $33 million in grant funding and donor money that goes to the colleges and the students. I'm working with HCAI for other grants so that they all receive this grant money so that we can work together. And one of the schools, Mio Minato, the retired NEC supervisor who's worked with me since I come to California in 2014. She and I worked with ELAC, and ELAC being a community college, they needed to increase their NCLEX. And Dr. Anthony Lee and Dr. Hubbs, that's why they came to me. They heard of me on the board meetings, that how important it was. And they also have a program for students with additional language so that they don't feel that it's secondary language, because their primary language is so important. So that's why I was so committed to come to Westcliff University and work with them. At this time,
Thank you.
As I've been working with Mio Minato, she is available as a consultant to make sure that all of our materials are under regulation, which they are. And I'd like to therefore at this time either have other administrators speak or ask me more questions. So thank you.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question. Why Irvine?
That's where their university is. Their university is in Irvine. And when you think about it, we have many more universities in other counties.
Yes, we have so many areas in California that could use a university. We have the Central Valley, we have Northern California that would have room and clinical space to accommodate this, and not in an impacted area. So I was just curious what led to that decision. I understand that you would like to expand, but I'm just curious as to why Irvine, because Irvine's impacted area.
Okay, so they have a 30-year history of a university here that has 4 colleges that have incredible outcomes. 95%, Dr. Lee can present that. And what you have to keep in mind, this is where the university is. They bring many students from many areas. They've kept the tuition, which I asked them to naturally.
Okay, but this is a feasibility study for a new campus, correct?
That takes a lot of effort to do it right.
So, Doctor, you said Anthony Lee?
Yes, Dr. Anthony Lee's right here.
Dr. Anthony Lee, can you speak? Will you?
Sure. Yeah, I can speak. This is Dr. Anthony Lee. You asked a question about why Irvine. Well, number one, we are choosing Irvine because this is where we have all of our resources, the history, and the staff and everybody here. But at the same time, we are focused on the surrounding communities. We have partnerships set up in terms of hospitals, clinical sites, and all those things that can reach further out. We still feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to serve students that want to come to Irvine, but still be able to accommodate those with having clinical sites further out, because I think at the end of the day, there's a huge shortage for nurses, and I think that we're trying our best to try to solve that.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Is there somebody else in your group that would like to speak? Or is it just you two?
Would you like to give your input?
Hi, Dolores, Matt Hubbs. I'm our VP of Strategic Initiatives. On that particular question, I started with Westcliff 4 years ago, and the reason I was brought in is because there was a law school, you may or may not be familiar with, Western State College of Law. I'd worked for its prior parent university, and it was closing. They had lost accreditation, they were closing. Dr. Lee reached out to me because I had familiarity with it, and this was an institution within Orange County, within Irvine, that had a 55-year legacy that was set to close. And one of the motivating factors was because he, as someone who was born and raised here in Orange County, was committed to ensuring that that institution didn't close. That, I think, shows the commitment, the relationship, the integration of Westcliff and Irvine in particular, where our main campus and the law school are located now. And it hopefully sheds a little more light on why we'd want to start that program here while still serving a broad reach in the Southern California area.
I also just want to add that we have a history of serving diverse students. Majority of our students are minorities. Which for majority of our students, we have a large population of students, our first generation college students. We've done a lot to support Pell Grant students, those with the most financial need. In the last couple of years, we've awarded over $4 million in scholarships. We do have a sizable international student population. The majority of those students are from developing countries. For us, it's increasing access to education. And this is a big priority for us in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion when we're talking about this nursing program.
I think there's a broad reach of education opportunities down there already. It seems that it would best be served in more of a area such as the Central Valley, such as Northern California. This is an impacted area. So clinical space is at a premium here. Is there any other questions?
Thank you for bringing that up. And keep in mind that one of the regulations that has to be met are the EDPs. And therefore, the EDPs that have been presented are with the understanding there would be no displacement of any other school. And I have never in my career ever displaced another school in another state or here. We make sure that we move forward. So just an example, I've been with the Nephrology Nurses Association for years. I go to every one of their meetings here in Orange County and Los Angeles. It's a association together. They are very interested in more of our students. So we are not just here with strategies for success as a center here. We will be working with the consortium to make sure that we have sites where we're not displacing anyone, as well as help others to find sites that are important for that. Also, Dr. Lee has made it clear that they are starting a child care facility here. One of the universities where I was in the past and hospitals, we started the child care center there in 2010. They even to this day did not have any problems during COVID. In touch with them and they're in touch with me. And I have to say, this childcare center is going to be for students and faculty for infancy up to kindergarten. And what will be so nice is then we'll be able to have our needs met for those students and other students in other programs to make sure that they attend to childcare. That is in my preference form for strategies for success, making sure I know the exact zip code, that our team knows the zip code of where our students have childcare and elder care, where they live, so we stay within the region that we need to be in the miles. And this is something that at the feasibility stage, we're just putting into place and making sure when we do the self-study, that's where we will be seeing exactly, like you're saying, is that impaction still here? Or have we been able to come up with these solutions? I've made this a major commitment, not just this past year and a half, but since I came to California in 2014 to really work on these solutions. And I have been able to bring forth master's as well as BSN programs, fully accredited, so that our students can move on to be nurse practitioners, advanced practice nurses. They can also be educators. We need faculty. At our panel meetings that I've been having with and inviting the different directors, one of the directors from right near us here, she was with me at National University, and she actually said at our last panel in January, we really need more faculty. So that is one of our solutions also.
Dolores, I believe you're on mute. I see you talking, but I believe you're on mute.
It's a need throughout the state.
I know.
The faculty need is not just in Irvine.
No.
The childcare need is not just in Irvine. It's up and down the state. It just seems to me that this school will be best served in an area of less clinical impaction and more of a nursing need. And the Central Valley is an area that has high need.
Okay, but may I say this? Having a strategies for success center where we can also address this, having a university where it's already here. But that doesn't mean that all of our students will remain here. That doesn't mean that our students who come to this school will only be from this area. They have an incredible track record, $4 million in scholarship money they've been given out. $4 million. And then I'm able to also go back into HCAI, which I was able to help with Eli get a grant, and they're allowing privates to also have HCAI. I've gotten them for Charles R. Drew. And I do believe we can get more of that so that our students that come here and we help other schools also, we will be
Please move forward. I think from my perspective, I think we've heard enough. I just find it very hard to see how we could deny Stanbridge an increase in their students in a successful program and then now support a new program in the same county. I just don't know how we as a board can do that. So anyway, I'd like to make a motion that we not approve this feasibility study at this time.
I will second it. Can we open it up for public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Mary Steckler would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Again, Associate Dean of Health Sciences and the Director of Nursing. I would like to ask the board to please not approve this feasibility study. As we know, like you've mentioned, Irvine is totally impacted. This will impact Santa Ana College. It'll impact Saddleback College and a few others. But what I really want to say is I was a little surprised. I was at the consortium meeting today. I've been to consortium since 2009. I may have had a small little break there. And this is the first time I've seen Diane Breckenridge at that meeting. I was surprised that she says she goes. I'm not saying that she doesn't, but I've just never seen her there. And I just find it very, very hard to believe that we will not be displaced when another new school is coming in. So again, I just really appreciate you letting me make my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to add to that. As I said today at the meeting, I rejoined as I was asked to by the Board of Nursing that it was the time to do so, even though it was up to feasibility, because I was a member during National University, and that I was asked to therefore rejoin at that stage in August, which I did. And then there's been some cancellation.
Dr. Breckenridge, thank you. We heard that earlier in the conversation. Can we please get through public comment?
Mio Minato would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Thank you for taking my question or my, as you know, I have been the retired NEC, and I was involved in the development. I participated in the development of instruction for new program approvals, including the instruction that's currently being used. And I also was involved in the approval of the new programs. And because it is a two-step process, the feasibility phase, which this particular submission of the study deals with, describes what resources that the institution has in meeting all of the requirements that the board is asking to show. What's being discussed right now, where there's adequate or sufficiency of spaces and all of that, really need to be done really in the second phase, the self-study phase. And so because the feasibility study has been with the board, I believe, probably for about a year or so, and during this time, it's my understanding that the school or the institution has provided information that came from the board staff as additional information were being requested. And so the institution have complied with all of the requirements put forth by the board. And at this phase, and I understand all of the discussions that have taken place. I have been on the meeting the past two days now. So I think before you just flatly deny this feasibility study, I think you need to really look at the procedural practices, although I'm sure it's been changed since the time I've worked for the board, should be followed. The actual evaluation of the program, which for this pre-licensure program is BSN, as well as entry-level master's program. And I believe entry-level master's program will add accessibility for students from different categories. So I would hope that the board members look at the phase for of evaluation for the feasibility study being submitted and not flatly deny the submission. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy Corliss would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This is Judy Corliss, a former BRN member prior to this board. And I was involved in working with this school right from the beginning. And I brought in Dr. Diane Breckenridge, and we had many discussions about this school being in Irvine. And I'm fully aware of all of the issues in all of the cities. But one of the recommendations was, because they have so many students that are many of them not from this region, that it would be able to be done as long as we could show the clinical sites and not displace anyone. And we've worked with this board since maybe more than a year ago. I believe they received our feasibility last March, and legal even approved our 2-track program, which would be the BSN and the ELM. And it wouldn't be very many students to start with. It's not, in the hundreds of thousands or anything like that. And the area is not where all these people are going to work. They're going to work, everywhere that nurses are needed, including we talked about having a recommendation from the legislature up in the Central Valley and having some of our students go up there and work in the hospitals once they finish and do their nurse program there, like a nurse residency in that region, and maybe sign a contract to stay up there for a couple of years. So this is not something just thrown in without any thought process. And I have never, including since 2009, seen any feasibility denied because they put several $1 million into this program already. They're going to have a lot of scholarships. And to just flat deny it, I'm with Mio Minato. I've worked with her since 2009. And quite frankly, I have never seen at this point a feasibility denied for any reason, and for people to go forward and look at their self-study and see how they're going to plan to disseminate their students. So I would really ask you to reconsider a full denial. It's really never been done to my knowledge. So I do appreciate you listening to me. I know I've been on before, and I really made a point before about the hours. Maybe everybody ought to lower their hours of clinical recommendations soon. Thank you so much.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to address the change to the acceptance of feasibility studies and self-studies. This came about when we updated the regulation 16 CCR 1432 this year. And in the update to the regulation 16 CCR 1432, we added the EDP IL1, which is the instructions for seeking institution approval, which is the process that these new programs are using. And it was adopted and adapted to both new campus approvals as well as new nursing program approvals. As part of the 45-day comment period, it was brought to the attention of the board that people said, how would they know to continue with the investment into their program? And they were concerned that they would invest in hiring faculty, that they would hire nursing program directors, that they would obtain a lease on a campus or purchase a campus, and that they would then go through the self-study phase and then not be able to open. They were very worried about that investment in money. And so with our regulatory attorney, as well as the Office of Administrative Law, we looked at that process, and we found that in the EDP IL1, there was the ability to do an acceptance of the feasibility study. And with part of that acceptance of the feasibility study, the program is supposed to put down what their projected enrollment is, as well as their projected budget. So it was discussed and decided on that that would be the appropriate time to let a program know, after only submitting their initial fee of $40,000, to have this process looked at and evaluated, that would be the appropriate time to let them know. That is a change, and that absolutely is something that hasn't been done in the past. The update to 16 CCR 1432 that had updated the EDP IL1, and where we answered comments as a board back to that, didn't happen until I believe summer of this last year. So this is the first feasibility studies to be brought forward since that time. And it is absolutely appropriate to ask the question why those changes were made. And that was on public request to have the program be completely aware what is their chances of getting approved in that location or getting approved at all at the feasibility study before they went forward in investing money to hire faculty, to create a curriculum, to hire a program director, and to obtain a campus location, sign a lease or purchase, or start to build it out. There is definitely a possibility that more information can come during that self-study phase, but through the public comment, and I believe it even went to hearing, that's where those discussions came through and the board answered back in response. And that is why it is moved to let the person know or the organization know sooner in the process versus later in the process, so they're not out, as people have shared, millions of dollars, because that's what it takes really to support nursing programs now. So just wanted to address why the change and that it is different and where that came from. Thank you.
Lori, I have a question. If a program is denied, like the motion that I made, when can they come back for reconsideration? Because a lot of work's been put into this, and the concern is displacement in my mind.
It is. And so what can be done is the board can say, you know, we're not denying your feasibility. We will accept your feasibility. We encourage you to look into a different location, or you can say that you're denying the feasibility for this location. We will keep your feasibility in consideration. We're not going to have you start the process over. We would like you to come forward with a different community or a different location. So denying a feasibility stops them completely. And they would have to resubmit their $40,000, go through that entire process. This program has shown that they have the resources to support everything. They can maintain it. The only consideration that is of concern is the location. So the board can make a motion that says, we're deferring taking any action on this feasibility, or we would deny the feasibility for this location. We encourage you to come back without having to go through this process again with an adjustment to that area. The board has any ability to make a motion at this point that does not have to halt them, but that you could share your concerns with this specific location.
Well, I want to thank you, EO Loretta, because again, until Dolores brought this up, we have really looked at staying in this area because this is where the university is. But when you are bringing this up, and Dolores, when you're bringing it up, we will absolutely look at, is another location better? We just conferred here. We can't thank you enough for saying that, because we have worked very hard on the feasibility, on making sure the quality is there in the curricula, so that we will make sure we move forward and bring it back, and we will do the same deep dive in the locations that were just brought up. Do we all agree with that? And
I'd like to amend my motion, if I could, to that we motion that we defer until, and I think this is part of, was because I could put in a motion, Lori, or correct me, you or Reza, and have the program come back with potentially a different location.
I second that.
Third President
Yeah,
Trujillo.
Reza, that's fine. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Reza. Go ahead.
Oh, Mary, I think was asking if there's any issue with that. That's totally fine. I think Dolores was the second on that, so that's all we need.
All right, we've already opened to public comments.
Okay.
We can go to a vote.
Would you like me to close?
Yes, thank you. I don't think there's
Thank you.
anybody waiting, is there?
No, no, everybody's already commented.
All right.
Was one comment that was typed out, and Reza helped me to address that comment. It says that they submitted this feasibility money and the intent prior to the update to 1432 and the change to the EDP IL1 process and the public comment and the response from the hearing, et cetera, by the board. We have to hold people to account to the law that is in effect right now. So when things were submitted previously, this is the time that they're brought forward to the board. We cannot alter the process and go back to the way that things were done previously. We have to answer to the process that is currently in place. Did you have anything further to update with that, Reza?
No, thank you.
And that did not come from us here. We
understand.
We understand. We are listening to the board.
All right. So we can take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, yes.
Elizabeth Woods.
Woods, yes.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita, yes.
Trisha Wynn.
Win, yes.
David Lawler.
David, yes.
And Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
Thank you.
For the note takers, can we just reiterate what the motion was there?
Yes,
I thought it was
I
to
can do
approve
that.
and please go ahead.
It's to defer. So
to
the
defer.
motion is to defer action on the feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program, West Cliff University Baccalaureate and entry-level master's degree program. And they're encouraged to come back to the board once they have established a secondary location or another location that would be more suitable. Does that help?
More feasible?
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, I don't know if it's more feasible. That's probably not the legal language, but another action to defer and come back with another site.
I kind of understood it to be basically consider the board's input regarding, the site and come back after having looked into it.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 8.3.2.
Thank you so much. So again, this is a discussion and possible action regarding a feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program. And this is for Lassen Community College Associate Degree Nursing Program. And the information about Lassen is starting on page 117 in your packet. And board moderator, thanks for elevating the presenters on the list for Lassen. Lassen College has submitted a feasibility to begin a pre-licensure associate degree nursing program. They are located in Susanville, California, which is in northeastern California. They're asking for an enrollment pattern of 30 generic and 10 advanced placement students for a total of 40 students every 2 years. Lassen would like to admit their first cohort in the fall of 23. Again, they have their agenda item summary that goes through the description, the accreditation, the geographical, the economic, the applicant pool, all the things that we require to be addressed in a feasibility. They also have their executive summary. They're here for any questions you may have. And once again, Lori, did you have anything that you wanted to add about Lassen in Susanville?
Thank you. Just that it's a location that hasn't been considered yet today. It is in the northern region. Says that in the last 5 years, there has been a growth of 539 new student enrollments, none in Lassen County. The total enrollment, this program, of course, is brand new, so we have no pre-data. And then the one thing that was of interest that was brought forward was there are no pre-licensure programs within 50 miles of Lassen Community College. The nearest ADN program for LVN to ADN students is Butte College in Northern Sacramento Valley region, and that's 114 miles away from there. That was something for the board to consider. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this feasibility study.
I'll second Matt Granowitz.
May I ask a question before we go to
Tricia.
comment?
Yeah.
So my question is the exact opposite of what I normally ask, which is, I think it's a great idea, but will there be placement opportunities for these students within 50 miles of the campus?
Well, let's have the program director speak. Carrie, are you available?
Thank you very much.
This is Christy Myers. I'll go ahead and address that. So my name is Christy Myers. I'm the Director of Nursing and Allied Health at Lassen Community College. Carrie Camacho, our president and superintendent, is also here with us, and so she's happy to answer any questions. In regards to clinical placement, we are the polar opposite of everything that's been discussed today. We are very rural, literally middle of nowhere. For those of you not aware of where Susanville is, we are 90 miles northwest. We're into California from Reno, Nevada. That's our closest city, although it's out of the state. And so within our community, we serve both Lassen as well as the county to the north. Modoc County does not have a community college there. And so we serve both of those areas. We have long-standing clinical agreements with every single facility within our service area. We do have a good history of other health-related programs, including LVN with fantastic pass rates, medical assisting, CNA, EMT, all of those. And so those clinical agreements are pre-existing. And unlike most areas in California, the only school that we're competing with for space is ourselves. We have no other schools within those clinical facilities. And so within very short driving distance, we have Banner Lassen Medical Center, which is a small rural access hospital. However, they have wide open doors to us, and no other schools use that facility. We also do have Modoc Medical Center and Seneca, which is just one county over from us as far as acute care facilities. We do have kind of an unusual clinical opportunity too in our area, where our largest employer is the prison system. And so we have High Desert State Prison that does have a robust opportunity for clinical placements. We've used them for many of our other programs, and they are very anxious to hopefully one day get RNs in through their doors, as it's hard to get staffing into this area to want to come to this rural area and stay here when they come from other places. And so, yes, we do believe that we do have plenty of clinical placement, and then we do have some backup placements a little further out of the county. Like mentioned, our area is very rural and very remote. And so currently individuals in our county that want to go to registered nursing school have to travel over 100 miles away in order to do so. And that is also the same for anybody that has gone through the LVM program and wants to do that level up to registered nursing. I hope that answers your question. I'm happy to answer any more.
It does. Thank you very much.
What's the cost of the program?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The cost of the program.
Yeah, so we are a community college. And so beginning to end with prereqs, books, uniforms, all of those things included, we're right around $8,000 for a student for the 2 years.
Thank you.
And just to reference, for in-state students, as a community college, out of state has a little bit difference in tuition.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, BRN moderator, can we open it up for public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box. I would like to make a comment. Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Catherine Hughes would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Nurse, and while I'm the executive director of SEIU Nurse Alliance of California, I'm actually going to speak as an individual. I live in Butte County. I do see that our Butte Community College and our Chico State nursing programs are very impacted, and I'm extremely excited to see the possibility of a new nursing program just north of us. We are very rural. We have a shortage of nurses, and I'm really excited to see the possibility of more nurses living and practicing in our area. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. All right, we have a first and a second on a motion. Let's take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, yes.
Elizabeth Woods.
Woods, yes.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita, yes.
Trisha Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
David Lawler.
David, yes.
And Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is agenda item 8.4, which is in the materials, and 8.5 you'll notice is on the website. It was added, the materials were added. And so 8.4 is the NCLEX update, and 8.5 is the licensing unit update. Though, barring any comments that EO Melby may have, these are information only to the board at this time.
Thank you. I have no additional comments, but we can take this out to public comment as there's no vote needed. It is information only.
We'll open it up for public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating that question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in they would like to make a comment. Board President Trujillo, there are no public requests for comments. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. All right, so moving on to 9.0. Report of the Enforcement Intervention Committee. Patricia Nguyen, Chairperson.
Great, thank you very much. I don't need to call this to order or anything. I know that Shannon is going to be presenting on 9.1. Thank you, Shannon.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's been a long 2 days, so I will not bore you with going through my entire agenda item, which is 9.1. It is the enforcement intervention and investigation updates. Just a couple points I want to make on that is we're still working with OIO to be mapping out all of our processes within all of enforcement, and that's the Office of Organizational Improvement at DCA. We're also looking at launching some new outreach pieces for our recruitment of our expert witnesses, and hopefully having that finished soon. We've had pieces, we're just updating them. We do still have a vacancy for our staff services manager in our discipline unit, which is a backfill to our deputy chief that was promoted. So we're still recruiting that position. And we are currently recruiting a nurse education consultant for our enforcement division. So those are currently ongoing right now. In intervention for the vacancies, there's currently showing 21 vacancies on your agenda item summary. 13 of those are RN positions, 8 are physician member positions, which I will cover 10 possible appointments in 9.2 in a moment. Also, we have Table A, which are all the statistics, and some tables in table, the graphs based on Table A, and then also the BRN performance measures for fiscal year to date in Table B. And I'm available for any questions on 9.1 if anyone has any.
Thanks very much, Shannon. I thought your graphs and charts and tables were just very, very clear and easy to read. So I know you've been practicing and I appreciate it. Thank you. Any questions? Dolores, I'll turn it back over to you.
I have no questions. I think the work that's being done is great. Any other questions or comments from the board members? Okay, doesn't look like there is any. This is information only, but we can open it up for public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Board President Trujillo, there are no public requests for comments. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Great. So we'll go ahead and move to item 9.2. And again, Shannon, if you could walk us through that, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So 9.2 is the discussion, possible action on potential appointments for our intervention evaluation committees. We have 10 today before you. Humphrey Ogg is and they're all, by the way, they're all nurse members. Humphrey Ogg, it would be for IEC 2 with an expiration of 6/30/26. William Gould, also an IEC 2, expiration 9/30/2025. Laura Thomas, IEC 3 for June 30th, 2026. Tanika Johnson is an IEC 4, expiration June 30, 2024. Scott Gunther in IEC 7 with an expiration of 2024, as well as Kevin Vahar in IEC 7 with an expiration of 6/30/24. We have Donna Palmer in IEC 10, as well as Elizabeth Riley in IEC 10. Donna's expiration would be 6/30/25. Elizabeth Riley would be 6/30/2024. Jane Newhart Parks in IEC 12 with an expiration of 6/30/25, and then Luan LeMay also in IEC 12 with an expiration of 6/30/2025. Again, I just want to point out these are all nurse member types, and they are all new appointments, and we have staggered the term expiration to ensure that they're not all expiring at the same time.
Thank you, Shannon. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to accept the appointments of IEC members presented.
I will second that.
Thanks, Dolores.
We open it up for public comment, please.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Malik King would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Malik King speaking. Thank you all for your time. I just had a quick question. Are these paid positions?
These IEC members are per diem.
This is Reza. I think that means they're more or less essentially paid on the same basis as our board members and other committee members, which is, I think, fairly negligible.
Is it $100 a day? I think that's what it is. So yes, there is some payment, but it's, yeah.
Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. All right, we'll take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, yes.
Elizabeth Woods.
Woods, yes.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita, yes.
Patricia Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
David Lawler.
David, yes.
And Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.
So moving on, item 10.0, this is the report of the Legislative Committee. I chair this committee. Legislative update and discussion of bills relevant to the board from the 2023 to 2024 legislative session. Is Marissa on? Marissa Clark? Hi, Marissa.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Good afternoon. I also realize it has been a long day, so I'll try and make this as painless as possible. And it is a short list of bills at this point because we are so early in the session. So again, my name is Marissa Clark. I'm the Chief of Legislative Affairs, and we have officially jumped into the 2023-2024 legislative session. There are 5 bills on the agenda and this PowerPoint screen, but there's actually 2 that we're still doing some further analysis on. So that means we'll only be discussing 3 bills today. And just calendaring, I also wanted to note, in case there was concern because there's so few, per Bagley-Keene, we had to post the agenda on Friday, the February 3rd. A vast majority of the bills, because we're coming up on the bill introduction deadline, were introduced over this past week. So the majority of the bills that may be of interest to the board are going to be brought before you at the next meeting. So I didn't want you to think the ones that have been introduced over the last week or so weren't on our radar, because they very much are.
Thank you.
I will jump. Yes, no problem. I'll jump into these 3 real quick. And just to note, you can find a high-level analysis in your meeting materials. Again, if there's any other types of information or background that you would find helpful when you're looking at these bills, please let me know. We can change these templates to make them however they can be useful to you all as you're taking positions. So the first bill is AB 269 by Assemblymember Berman, and I'll give you a little bit of background because it's kind of a unique bill in that it has an urgency clause in it. So in March 2022, the federal government, as part of the COVID-19 response, launched a nationwide test to treat initiative. And this was to increase access to COVID treatments throughout the country. And as part of this initiative, sites were set up across the country that provided kind of a one-stop shop of COVID testing, prescribing, and dispensing of oral therapeutics all at one location. And these sites were stood up in a variety of different locations, pharmacy-based clinics, federally funded health centers, and long-term care facilities, and community-based sites. However, here in California, it was found that not all communities had equal access to these test to treat sites. So last year, the California Department of Public Health partnered with OptumServe to stand up 146 sites in California that were in high need, low access areas of the state to ensure there was more equity in that access to care. And these sites also offer that kind of one-stop shop, end-to-end service with antigen testing, telehealth prescribing for COVID positive, and on-site therapeutics dispensing. Excuse me. The slight little hiccup is that these sites were implemented using waivers that were allowed under California's COVID-19 state of emergency. And as you may have heard, the state of emergency in California is scheduled to end at the end of this month, which means a lot of the flexibilities and the legal waivers end with it, which would render these sites unable to provide that end-to-end service. So this bill is kind of a stopgap solution that would codify some of these legal flexibilities until January 1, 2024. So it is a very short time frame. As I said, it has an urgency clause, so it would go into effect immediately upon enactment. It's moving its way rather quickly through the process, just in anticipation of this expiration of the state of emergency, and then it would be scheduled to end at the end of this year. So I will touch on the kind of main two things that the bill would do in terms of the flexibilities it would codify. First, the bill would authorize a person to perform an analysis of samples to test for the virus that causes COVID-19 in a clinical laboratory or a city, county, or city and county public health laboratory if they meet the requirements under CLIA for high complexity testing. So this is a waiver that was related to CLIA that allows us to kind of defer to the federal requirements on personnel who can conduct these tests rather than the state requirements, which are a little bit more stringent. So it increases the number of people who can conduct these tests. And the second, the bill would authorize an entity that is contracted with and approved by the Department of Public Health to operate a designated COVID-19 testing and dispensing site to acquire, dispense, and store COVID-19 oral therapeutics at or from designated sites. So there's a whole, tons of regulations and rules around dispensing and that are set by the pharmacy board. And so this waives certain requirements around the storing, labeling, who can dispense them to make sure that these sites can continue to operate as they were through the end of the year. And as I mentioned, the bill also contains an urgency clause, so it would go into effect immediately on signing. So I'll open it up if you have any questions, or I can offer any more information.
Any comments or questions from the board members? Okay. Moving on to the next bill, Marissa.
Okay. So the next bill is Senate Bill 65 by Senator Ochoa Bogue. And I'll give you a little bit of background as well. So last year's budget allocated around $2.2 billion over the course of 3 years to the Department of Healthcare Services to establish a behavioral health continuum infrastructure program. Under this program, the Department of Healthcare Services provides competitive grants to local entities for the purpose of increasing the infrastructure of behavioral healthcare by helping to fund the constructing, acquiring, or renovating of facilities for providing community behavioral health services. And so right now the department is on a schedule to release these funds through 6 grant rounds targeting various gaps that were identified in the state's behavioral health facility infrastructure. Just kind of a side note as well, this year's budget, I believe, does propose a slight decrease to that funding, as happened with a lot of the funding that was put out over the last few years to balance the budget. I think this one proposes a delay of about $500 million of that. Just putting that in there as a caveat. So what Senate Bill 65 would do is it would authorize DHCS that when they're putting out these competitive grants, they can give a preference to qualified entities if those entities are intending to place their projects in any of the following facilities or properties: recently closed hospitals, recently closed skilled nursing facilities, unused city, county, or state properties, facilities that are co-located or near state or local housing program sites, or recently closed or unused city or county jail facilities. And just for a little bit more definition, the bill defines recently closed hospitals as hospitals that have been closed for at least 2 years. The bill also proposes to appropriate an additional $1 billion from the general fund to be used for the program during fiscal year 23-24, 24-25, and 25-26. And as I may have mentioned already, but just in case I didn't, we identified this as an indirect impact bill, as well as the previous one as indirect impact, and the next one as well was indirect impact, in that it doesn't have a direct impact on the board, but we still thought it would be of interest to you. Any questions I can answer on that one?
Yes, I do have a question. Are these both for inpatient and outpatient services, or just outpatient?
I believe it's a mixture. I can do some more digging on the eligibility criteria, but I believe it is kind of a mixture of different facilities based on the need and the significance of the care needed. So I would guess to say both, but I'd have to confirm that.
So it would have to be also decided by the particular area where the facility's in, correct?
Yes, let me pull up the information about the grant program real quick.
So the intent, Marissa, is to increase access for behavioral health?
Correct, to fund the infrastructure needs. So this would give incentive or extra points, which I'm not sure, typically in a competitive grant process, there's kind of a objective criteria of a rubric. So I would guess it'd be something like you would get extra points in the scoring if you were going to utilize some of these previously used facilities for the purpose of increasing the infrastructure for where these behavioral health services can be accessed throughout the state.
So we can take, as a board, we can take positions on these right now and vote on them. The bills that are being presented, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And to answer Betty's question, I did have that in my notes. Let's see, the grants provided under this program fund a variety of community behavioral health facility types to treat individuals with varying levels of behavioral health needs. For example, funds could be used on short-term crisis treatment beds, residential treatment facilities in which treatment typically lasts for a few months, or longer-term rehabilitative facilities. I believe there's also a match requirement with this program. And so again, the program's already an established one. There's already funding with it. This would just give, it would give the department the ability to provide kind of preference or some more points if they chose to. If applicants were utilizing those previously used types of facilities, such as hospitals that had closed and whatnot.
Thank you.
So we didn't vote on the 269, AB 269, not to backtrack, but we can go back after this bill. Sure. I would like to make a motion to support this bill on Senate Bill 65 for the Behavioral Health Continuum Infrastructure Program.
I'll second that. Win.
Thank you. Can we open it up for public comment?
Board Member Trujillo, if you want to, you can take a motion in a second on the other bills as well, and then open up to public comment as a whole.
That's fine.
That is what we've done in the past, and there's just a very few bills today.
Okay, that's fine. Mark, go ahead and close. We'll go back to the agenda so I can see the bills. Thanks.
Would you like me to jump into the last one?
Let's do
Get a motion
for
on the first.
269.
Thank you.
This one, do we have any comments or questions from the board? All right, I would like to make a motion to watch this bill.
I'll second that.
Thank
Win
you.
again.
Thank you, Tricia. All right. So the next bill, Marissa?
I'm
So
sorry.
the last-
Sorry, Marissa, this is Reza. So we had the motion on AB 269.
Correct, to
The
watch.
motion made on SB 65 to support.
Support.
Did somebody second that
Yes,
one?
I second both.
Tricia did. Thank you. That's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Reza.
All right.
Okay.
So the last bill is Senate Bill 234 by Senators Portantino and Umberg. And so again, a little background on current law. Under current law, school districts, counties of education, and charter schools are authorized to provide an emergency opioid antagonist to school nurses or trained personnel who have volunteered. And then those school nurses or trained personnel are authorized to provide that opioid antagonist for emergency medical aid to persons suffering or reasonably believed to be suffering from an opioid overdose. However, under current law, it is currently up to each individual school, public and private elementary, secondary school in the state to determine whether or not they make those opioid antagonists and trained personnel available. So what this bill would do is it would actually require each public, elementary, high school, and higher education school in the state to maintain unexpired doses of an opioid antagonist. They gave the example of Narcan, but it can be another type on the school site at all times, and to ensure there are at least 2 employees that are aware of the location of that opioid antagonist. The bill would also require each stadium, concert venue, and amusement park to maintain unexpired doses of an opioid antagonist on its premises at all times. And again, ensure that there are at least 2 employees who know the location of those treatments. And lastly, the bill would exempt from civil or criminal liability any person who, in good faith and not for compensation, administers an opioid antagonist on a college campus on the premises of a stadium, concert venue, or amusement park, other than an act or omission constituting gross negligence or willful and wanton misconduct. So it's just some legal liability if they're doing it in good faith.
All right.
Any questions on that one?
Okay. I would like to make a motion to support this bill. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mary Fagan.
Thank you, Mary. All right. Is that the last of the bills, or are we going to go over Senate Bill 2, Senate Bill, Assembly Bill 365?
We're doing some more analysis on those, so we'll bring them back up the next time along with the other bills that have been introduced since the agenda posting.
All right. So we have the 3 bills. Any other questions or comments before we go to public comment? No? All right. Let's open it up for public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I would like to give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Trevor Smith would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for your time and allowing public comment on these bills. The last one in particular, obviously, we are aware. I am in a area in Southern California near the border with Mexico, and the opioid crisis is, of course, in full swing down here as well. And really, with the way that the national attention with fentanyl and other opioid substances have been affecting the public interest, really these antagonists are turning into the new AEDs, where we're going to have personnel having access to these therapies to do the best good for the public. So I just wanted to thank the board for watching these, and I think they'll be a very important part of legislation going forward for this crisis. That's it.
Thank you. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. So we'll take it to a vote. Just to clarify, AB 269, the Berman bill, we're going to watch. Senate Bill 65 is the Behavioral Health Bill, which we are in support. And Senate Bill 234, opioid antagonists, we are in support. So that's what we're voting on.
What about Senate Bill 2 that's here?
Yeah, Marissa explained that that's still being studied.
So doing some more analysis, and we'll bring it forward at the next meeting.
And also Betty 365.
Yeah, I thought, I must have missed it.
You didn't miss it.
Thanks.
All right, so let's take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, yes.
Elizabeth Woods.
Woods, yes.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita, yes.
Patricia Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
David Lawler.
David, yes.
And Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
All right, thank you.
This is Reza. Just real quick, I presume any board members, if they wanted to have taken any one of those out and vote on them separately, would have spoken up. So each board member's yes vote was a yes as to all three of those.
That's how I understood it also. All right. Thank you, Marissa. I believe that is the end of
Open session.
an open session.
Yes.
So
we
now
will
we will go
into
to
closed session. Yep, and I believe Reza, your request is that we close out the public session completely, and that we will go into closed session, and we will not be coming back into open session to adjourn due to the lateness in the day. That way we can have staff leave, and they don't have to maintain a WebEx open for the adjournment of the entire meeting. Is that correct, Reza?
That's right. I anticipate our closed session, due to just the volume of cases that we have to discuss, is going to take a little while. And so it'll be probably past 5 p.m. by a good amount. Hopefully we can get enough board members able to stick around. But for the public who are on the WebEx, oftentimes we'll finish a closed session, come back into open session, and then just state on the WebEx that we're done for the day. For today, we're not going to be returning back into open session simply to make that announcement, that formality, because it's going to be probably well past 5 o'clock, and there's not any more discussion to be taken place in open session or any reporting required after the closed session. So thank you to all who've been in attendance for the last 2 days.